Chapter 11 of The Revolt on Venus. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Revolt on Venus by Carey Rockwell. Chapter 11. It was not until late the same afternoon that Astro, following the trail of the Tyrannosaurus, realized that the giant beast was seriously hurt. At first, the traces of blood on the ground and underbrush were slight, but gradually the blood spots became more profuse, and the trail was covered with huge blotches of red. The Venetian cadet grew more cautious. The Tyrannosaurus would be 10 times as dangerous now, and it might be close by, lying in the jungle, licking its wounds. As the sun began to sink in the western Venetian sky, Astro began to think about the coming night. He would have to hole up. He couldn't chance stumbling into the beast in the dark, but it would also mean taking time to make another sleeping bag. Suddenly, he saw movement in the brush to his left. He dropped to the ground and aimed the shock rifle in that direction, eyes probing the green tangle for further movement.
Make one move and you'll die.
A harsh voice cut through the jungle. Astro remained still, his eyes darting to left and right, trying to locate the owner of the voice.
"Throw down your gun and stand up with your hands over your head,"
came another voice, this one immediately behind him. A patrol! Astro swore at himself for blindly walking into a trap and dropped his gun. He stood up and raised his hands over his head, turning slowly.
"Don't turn around. Stand still."
Astro stopped. He could hear the rustle of movement in the underbrush behind him, and then someone called,
"Circle around to the right. Spread out and see if there are any others."
Off to the side, he could hear the crashing of footsteps moving away in the jungle.
"All right,"
continued the unknown voice.
"Drop that paralo ray pistol to the ground, but no smart tricks. We can see you and you can't see us, so take it easy and do as we say."
Astro lowered his hands and unbuckled the gun belt, letting it fall to the ground. There was a sudden burst of movement behind him, and powerful arms gripped his wrists. Within seconds his hands were tied quickly and expertly, and he was spun around to face his captors. There were 10 men, all dressed in the same green uniforms and plastic headgear he had seen at the Sinclair plantation. They stood in a semicircle around him, their guns leveled at his naked chest. The leader of the party nudged the nearest man and commented,
"Never thought I'd see any animal like this in the jungle."
The other men laughed appreciatively.
"Who are you?"
the leader demanded.
"What are you doing here?"
"My name is Astro,"
replied the big cadet boldly.
"I am a space cadet, Polaris Unit, Space Academy, USA. I am here in the jungle with the rest of my unit hunting Tyrannosaurus."
"Tyranno, eh?"
queried the man.
"How long have you been trailing this one?"
"Just today, I saw him fight a big snake and lost my jungle gear in a thicket where I was hiding. I was separated from my space buddies 2 days ago."
"Say, Helia,"
suddenly called one of the other men.
"he sounds like a Venetian."
"Is that true?"
asked the leader.
"Are you from Venus?"
Astro nodded.
"Venusport."
"Then why are you in Space Academy?"
"I want to be a spaceman."
"Why didn't you go to school on Venus instead of Earth? We have good space schools here."
"I want a commission in the Solar Guard. You can only get that through the Academy,"
replied Astro stoutly.
"Solar Guard,"
snorted the leader, and then turned to the nearest man, speaking rapidly in a strange tongue. For a moment the language confused Astro. Then he recognized it as the ancient Venusian dialect. He understood it and started to answer, but then, on second thought, he decided not to reveal his knowledge of the language. The leader turned back to Astro and asked a question. Astro shook his head and said,
"If you are talking to me, you have to speak English. I know that's the Venusian dialect you are speaking, but I never learned it."
The leader's fist shot out and crashed against Astro's jaw. The big cadet rocked back with the punch, and then he lunged forward, straining against his bonds.
"Why, you—"
he exploded angrily.
That was for not being a true Venusian,
snapped the leader.
Every son of Venus should understand his mother tongue.
Astro bit his lip and fell silent. The leader turned away and, shouting a command, started off through the jungle. Astro knew that the patrol had been ordered to move out, but he stood still, waiting for them to push him. They did. A hard jab in his naked side with the butt of a gun sent him stumbling forward in the center of the patrol. Well, there was one consolation, he thought grimly. At least he wouldn't have to spend the night out in the jungle alone again. Astro had expected a long march, but to his surprise, he was pushed along a well-worn jungle trail for only 300 yards in from the Tyrannosaurus's track. Finally, they stopped before a huge teakwood tree. The leader pounded his rifle butt on the trunk 3 times. Mystified, Astro watched a small section of the trunk open to reveal a modern vacuum tube elevator shaft. He was pushed inside with the men of the patrol, and the tree trunk door was closed. The leader pushed a lever and the car dropped so suddenly that Astro nearly lost his balance. He judged that they must have fallen 200 feet when the car stopped and another door opened. He was pushed out into a high vaulted tunnel with cement walls.
"Hurry up!"
snapped the leader. The big cadet moved along the tunnel, followed by the patrol, turning from one tunnel into another, all of them slanting downhill. Astro guessed that he was being taken to some subterranean cave. He asked his captors where they were taking him.
Don't talk,
snapped one of the men at his side.
This jungle will be swarming with solar guardsmen once they discover I'm lost,
said Astro.
Who are you and what are you holding me prisoner for?
The big cadet decided it would be better to feign ignorance of the existence of the rebel organization.
"Let the Solar Guard come,"
snapped the leader.
"They'll find something they never expected."
But what do you want with me?
asked the cadet.
"You'll know soon enough."
They had been walking for nearly an hour, and the tunnels still slanted downward but more sharply now. Turning into a much larger tunnel than any of the rest, Astro noticed a huge door on one side. Through its crystal-covered ports, he saw racks of illegal heat blasters and paralo ray guns. A man stepped out of the door and, raising his hand in a form of salute, called out a few words in the Venusian tongue. Astro recognized it as a greeting, "Long live Venusians," and suppressed a smile. One by one, the men of the patrol handed over their rifles and ray guns, while the man in the armory checked off their names. Then they all removed their knee-length jungle boots and traded their plastic helmets for others of the same design but of a lighter material. Each man turned his back while switching helmets, obviously to avoid being recognized by any of the others, since the new helmet was also frosted except for a slit at eye level. Wearing the lighter headgear and common street shoes, the men continued their march through the tunnel. They passed into a still larger tunnel, and for the first time, Astro could see daylight. As they drew nearer to the mouth of the tunnel, the cadet could see outside, and the scene before him made him gasp for breath. A full 20 miles long and 15 miles wide, a canyon stretched before him, and it seemed to the big cadet that every square inch of the canyon floor was occupied by buildings and spaceships. Hundreds of green-clad men were moving around the ships and buildings.
By the craters of Luna,
gasped Astro as the patrol paused in the mouth of the tunnel.
What? What is this?
The first city of Venus, true Venus, built by Venusians with Venusian materials only,
said the leader proudly.
There's the answer to your Solar Guard.
I don't understand,
said Astro.
What are you going to do?
You'll see.
The man chuckled.
You'll see. Move on.
As they trooped out of the tunnel and down into the canyon, they passed groups of men working on the many ships. The cadet recognized what they were doing at once. The unmistakable outlines of gun ports were being cut into the sides of several bulky space freighters. Elsewhere, the steady pounding of metal and grinding of machinery told the cadet that machine shops were going at full blast. He noticed a difference between the men of the patrol and the workers. Neither spoke to the other. In fact, Astro saw that it was rarely that a worker even glanced at them as they passed by. Up ahead, Astro saw a huge building, wide and sprawling, but only a few stories high. It was nearly dark now, and lights began to wink on in the many windows. He guessed that he was being taken to the building, and was not surprised when the leader pulled him by the arm, guiding him toward a small side door. There was a curious look about the building, and the cadet couldn't figure out what it was. Glancing quickly at the wall as he passed through the door, he nearly burst out laughing. The building was made of wood. He guessed that the rebels were using materials at hand rather than importing anything from outside planets. And since Venus was largely a planet of jungles and vegetation, with few large mineral deposits, wood would be the easiest thing to use. The inside of the building was handsomely decorated and designed. He saw walls covered with carvings depicting old legends about the first colonists. He shook his head.
Boy,
he thought,
they sure go for the Venetian stuff in a big way.
All right.
Snapped the leader.
Stop here.
Astro stood before a huge double door that had been polished to a brilliant luster. The cadet waited for the leader to enter, but the nationalists stood perfectly still, eyes straight ahead. Suddenly the doors swung open, revealing a huge chamber at least 150 feet long. At the far end, a man dressed in white with a green band across his chest sat in a beautifully carved chair. Arrayed on either side of him were 50 or more men dressed in various shades of green. The man in white lifted his hand, and the patrol leader stepped forward, pushing Astro before him. They walked across the polished floor and stopped 10 feet away from the man in white, the patrol leader bowing deeply. Astro glanced at the men standing at either side of the man in white. The bulge of paralo ray pistols was plainly visible beneath their flowing robes. The man in white lifted his hand in the salute Astro had seen before. Then the patrol leader straightened up and began to speak rapidly in the Venusian dialect. Translating easily, Astro heard him report his capture. When he concluded, the man in white looked at Astro closely and spoke 3 words. Astro shook his head.
He does not speak our mother tongue, Lactu,
volunteered the patrol leader. The man in white nodded.
How is it,
he said in English,
that you are a native-born Venusian and do not speak the language of your planet?
I was an orphan. I had very little formal education,
said Astro.
And as long as we're asking questions around here, how about my asking a few? Who in space are you? What's the idea of holding me a prisoner?
One question at a time, please, brother Venusian,
said the man in white.
And when you address me, my name is Lactu.
Lactu what?
Asked Astro belligerently.
Your own name should tell you that we on Venus only have one name.
Never mind that, rocket wash,
barked Astro.
When do I get out of here?
You will never leave here as you came,
said Lactu quietly.
What does that mean?
Demanded the cadet.
You have discovered the existence of our base. Ordinarily, you would have been burned to a crisp and left in the jungle. Fortunately, you are Venusian by birth and therefore have the right to join our organization.
What does that mean?
It means,
said Lactu,
that you will take an oath to fight until death, if necessary, to free the planet Venus and the Venusian citizens from the slavery of the Solar Alliance and—
All right, Buster,
roared Astro.
I've had enough of that, rocket wash. I took an oath of allegiance to the Solar Guard and the Solar Alliance to uphold the cause of peace throughout the universe and defend the liberties of the planets. Your idea is to destroy peace and make slaves out of the people of Venus, like these dummies you've got here.
Astro gestured contemptuously at the men standing on both sides of Lactu.
I don't want any part of you, so start blasting,
continued the big cadet, his voice booming out in the big room.
But make it good, 'cause I'm tough.
There was a murmur among the men, and several put their hands on the butts of their paralo ray guns. Even the calm expression in Lactu's eyes changed.
You're not afraid of us, are you?
he asked in a low, almost surprised tone of voice.
You, nor anything that crawls in the jungle like you,
shouted Astro.
If you're not happy with the way things are run on Venus, why don't you take your beef to the Solar Alliance?
We prefer to do it our way.
Snapped one of the men near Lactu.
And as for you, a few lashes with a Venusian wet whip will teach you to keep a civil tongue.
Astro turned around slowly, looking at each of the men individually.
I promise you,
he said slowly,
the first man who lays a whip on me will die.
And who, pray, will do the killing?
Snorted a short, stout figure in the darkest of the green uniforms.
You? Hardly.
If it isn't me,
Astro turned to face the man.
It will be any one of 1,000 space cadets.
You have a lot of confidence in yourself and your friends,
said Lactu.
Death, apparently, doesn't frighten you.
No more than it does any man of honor,
said the cadet.
I've faced death before. As for my friends...
Astro shrugged and grinned.
Touch me and wait for what happens, and by the stars, mister, you can depend on it happening.
Enough of this, Lactu,
said a man near the end of the group.
We have important business to conduct. Take this foolish boy out and do away with him.
Lactu waved his hand gently.
Observe, gentlemen. Here is the true spirit of Venus. This boy is not an Earthman nor a Martian. He is a Venusian, a proud Venusian who has drifted with the tides of space and taken life where he found it. Tell me honestly, gentlemen, what would you have thought of Astro, a Venusian, if he had acted any differently than he has? If he had taken an oath he does not believe and grovelled at our feet? No, gentlemen, to kill this proud, freeborn Venusian would be a crime. Tell me, Astro, do you have any skills?
I can handle nuclear materials in any form.
We are wasting time, Lactu,
exclaimed one of the men suddenly.
Settle with this upstart later. Now let us take a vote on the issue before us. The ship is waiting to blast off for Mercury. Do we ask her for assistance or not?
There was a loud murmur among the assembled men, and Lactu held up his hand.
Very well, we will vote. All in favor of asking the people of Mercury to join our movement against the Alliance will say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
chorused the men.
Against?
Lactu looked around, but there was no reply. Lactu turned back to Astro.
Well, Venusian, this is your last chance to join forces with us and to fight for your mother planet.
Go blast your jets,
snapped Astro. Immediately Lactu's eyes became hard, steely points.
That was your last chance,
he said.
Take him out and kill him.
The door suddenly burst open and a green-clad trooper raced across the bare floor, bowing hastily before Lactu.
Forgive this interruption, Lactu,
he said breathlessly.
There are men in the jungle headed for the canyon rim. 3 of them.
Lactu turned to Astro.
Your friends, no doubt.
He snapped an order.
Capture them and bring them to me. And as for you, Astro, we are in need of capable men to build warheads for our space torpedoes. To ensure the safety of your friends, I would advise your working for us. If not, your friends will die before another night falls.
End of chapter 11.